Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES horizon, watching stars drift past the main view screen. His weathered hands gripped the command chair as he reviewed the day's mission orders. At 45, Jake had seen more space battles than most officers twice his age. Today felt different, though. Today they would test things that could change everything. "Captain, all ships report ready for the exercise," said Commander Alex Carter from the tactical station. The tall, serious man had served with Jake for 8 years. Alex never smiled during duty hours, but Jake trusted him completely. Dr. Lisa Grant looked up from her science console. The dark-haired woman pushed her glasses up her nose and frowned at her readings. "I'm picking up some strange energy patterns from the outer system, but nothing that looks dangerous. Probably just solar wind." Jake nodded. Lisa was the best xenobiologist in the human fleet. If she said the readings were normal, he believed her. What she didn't know was that those energy patterns came from an alien ship watching them right now. Far beyond human sensor range, the stealth vessel Silent Watcher drifted like a ghost among the asteroids. The ship looked nothing like human designs. Its hull curved and flowed like liquid metal, covered in sensors that could detect a whisper across light years. Inside, Captain Zethkar reviewed his mission orders one more time. Zethkar belonged to the Valerian Collective, one of 12 species in the Galactic Council. His people looked almost human, except for their silver skin and large black eyes. They had been exploring space when humans still lived in caves. Today, the Council wanted him to watch these new humans and report on their military skills. "Sir, the human fleet is moving into position," reported his tactical officer. The insect-like being clicked its mandibles as it studied the displays. 47 ships total, mostly small craft with basic energy weapons. "As expected," Zethkar said. "The humans only joined the Council 50 years ago. Their technology should be at least 1,000 years behind ours." The Council had discovered humanity by accident. A merchant ship had picked up radio signals from Earth and investigated. They found a world full of violent, primitive creatures who had barely learned to leave their home planet. The Council decided to help them, giving humans basic space travel and a few small colonies. Most Council members saw humans as pets, cute but harmless. They lived short lives and fought each other over tiny scraps of land. Their ships moved slowly and their weapons were weak. The Council let them play at being a real space power while keeping them away from anything important. But some Council members worried. Humans bred fast and spread quickly. They asked too many questions and never seemed satisfied with simple answers. A few species wanted to limit human expansion before they became a problem. Today's mission would help the Council decide what to do. Back on the horizon, Jake walked between the bridge stations checking on his crew. Chief Engineer Maria Santos called up from the engine room. The stocky woman's voice crackled over the comm system. "Captain, all systems are green down here. The new drives are running perfectly, but I still think we're crazy for testing them in combat conditions." Jake smiled. Maria always worried about her engines, like they were her children. "Just keep them running, Maria. We need every advantage today." Lieutenant Ben Hayes led the fighter squadron from his cockpit. The young pilot had grown up dreaming of flying among the stars. His fighter looked like the old models from the outside, but hidden inside were systems that would have amazed the greatest human scientists just 10 years ago. "All fighters ready, Captain," Ben reported. "We're excited to see what these new birds can really do." Admiral Kate Sullivan watched the exercise from her command ship 3 light years away. The gray-haired woman had built the modern human fleet from nothing. She knew things that would shock even her closest officers. Today would test 5 years of secret research and development. "Begin Operation Forge," she ordered. The message reached Jake's ship instantly, transmitted by quantum communication that moved faster than light itself. Jake felt his heart beat faster. For years, human scientists had worked in hidden laboratories, pushing the boundaries of physics far beyond what anyone thought possible. "All ships, this is Horizon Actual," Jake announced on the fleet channel. "Today we find out if all that hard work paid off. Remember, this is just a test. The real thing might come sooner than we think." Dr. Grant noticed unusual readings on her sensors as the human ships began to spread out. Energy patterns that didn't match anything in the textbooks. She made notes but didn't worry. Human technology advanced so fast these days that new readings happened all the time. Aboard the Silent Watcher, Zethkar settled back to observe. The human ships moved in predictable formations, just like the Council expected. Their energy signatures looked normal. Their weapons powered up slowly, showing the usual human preference for kinetic projectiles over energy beams. "Begin recording," Zethkar ordered. "The Council will want to see every detail." His crew activated instruments that could measure the smallest details of the human exercise. They expected to catalog primitive tactics and outdated weapons. The report would probably recommend giving humans better training, maybe some upgraded equipment to make them more useful to the Council. Jake looked at his crew one last time before giving the final order. These people trusted him with their lives. They had volunteered for an experiment that could kill them all if something went wrong. But if it worked, humanity would never be the same. "All stations report ready, sir," Alex said quietly. "Doctor, Grant, any sign of observers?" Lisa checked her sensors again. "All clear, Captain. Just us and the training drones." Jake nodded and took a deep breath. Around him, his crew waited for the word that would change everything. The Council thought they were watching children play with toys. They had no idea what humans had really accomplished in 50 short years. "Commence Operation Forge," Jake ordered. The exercise began with human ships moving exactly as the Council expected. Slow, predictable, primitive. Zethkar started to relax, thinking this would be another boring report about human limitations. He had no idea that everything he thought he knew about humanity was about to be proven completely wrong. The human fleet spread across space in neat rows, just like something from an old military textbook. Zethkar watched from his hidden position and felt satisfied. Everything matched his expectations perfectly. The ships moved slowly, their formations stayed rigid, and their energy readings remained boringly normal. "Sir, initial scans confirm our intelligence reports," said Veltar, the insect tactical analyst. His compound eyes reflected the display screens as he cataloged human capabilities. "Chemical propulsion systems, electromagnetic shields, basic plasma weapons. Nothing we haven't seen before." Zethkar nodded and activated his personal recorder. The Council would want his direct observations, not just sensor data. Day 1 of human military assessment begins. Subject fleet consists of 47 vessels, following traditional combat doctrine. No evidence of advanced technology or innovative tactics. 3 light-years away, Admiral Sullivan reviewed the same fleet through her own monitors. She knew what the alien observers saw because humans had designed it that way. Every ship broadcast false energy signatures. Every movement followed outdated tactical manuals. The deception had taken months to perfect. "Phase 1 is holding perfectly," reported her aide. "The Watchers are seeing exactly what we want them to see." Sullivan smiled grimly. Humanity had known about Council surveillance for years. Their own hidden sensors tracked every alien ship that entered human space. Today's exercise would send a message that would echo across the galaxy. But first, the aliens needed to believe they were watching helpless primitives. Lieutenant Ben Hayes sat in his fighter's cockpit, trying to look casual, while every muscle in his body buzzed with anticipation. His craft appeared to be a standard Mark 7 Raptor, the kind humans had used for 20 years. But hidden beneath familiar hull plating lay technology that most humans had never dreamed of. "Remember, people," Ben said over the squadron channel, "we're just regular fighter jocks today. Keep those new systems offline until the captain gives the word." Chief Engineer Maria Santos monitored her engines from the Horizon's engineering deck. Banks of displays showed normal fusion readings, standard power curves, predictable fuel consumption. But behind sealed bulkheads, other systems waited in silence. Systems that drew power from the space between atoms themselves. "Captain Main, engines are performing within normal parameters," she reported to the bridge, carefully using the old language. "Fusion reactors stable, conventional drives ready." Jake Morrison acknowledged the report while studying his tactical display. The exercise scenario called for his convoy to defend against simulated pirates while maintaining formation. The enemy, Forces were represented by advanced training drones programmed with tactics from all 12 Council species. Dr. Lisa Grant continued her sensor sweeps, finding nothing unusual in the nearby space. The alien ship watching them used stealth technology far beyond human understanding, but Lisa wasn't really looking for observers. Her job was to maintain the illusion that humans remained as blind as they had been 50 years ago. "All clear, Captain," she reported. "Just background radiation and solar wind." Aboard the Silent Watcher, the alien crew settled into routine observation mode. They had watched dozens of primitive species conduct military exercises. The patterns were always the same: simple formations, predictable movements, basic weapons that fired in straight lines. "Energy output remains constant," reported Crix, the reptilian engineer. "No unusual power spikes or system variations. These humans are exactly what their files indicate." Zethkar made another log entry. "Subjects appear to be following standard convoy protection protocols learned from Council. Training materials. No evidence of independent tactical development or creative thinking. The training drones activated without warning, just as the exercise parameters required. Dozens of sleek automated fighters swept toward the human convoy like silver arrows. Each drone carried weapons and shields equivalent to modern Council technology. Against primitive human ships, they should provide adequate but not overwhelming opposition. Commander Alex Carter watched the approaching enemies on his displays and felt his heart rate increase. This was the moment of truth. For years, human scientists had worked to develop these systems. Now they would learn if 5 years of secret research had been worth the risk. "Contact bearing 270, multiple fast movers incoming," he reported, calmly. "Recommend the fleet assume defensive formation, Charlie." Jake nodded. "Formation." Charlie was listed in the basic human tactical manual as a standard anti-fighter screen. What the manual didn't mention was what formation Charlie could become when human technology stopped pretending to be primitive. "All ships, execute. Formation, Charlie," Jake ordered. "Marines, prepare for boarding operations." Colonel Sarah Mitchell heard the order from her position aboard the Marine transport. The 46-year-old soldier had seen combat on 6 different worlds, but today would be unlike anything in her experience. Her troops wore armor that looked standard but contained systems that would rewrite the book on infantry warfare. "You heard the captain," she told her Marines. "Check your gear and prepare for deployment. Remember, today we find out if the lab boys kept their promises." The first engagement began exactly as Zethkar expected. Human ships fired kinetic rounds and basic plasma bolts at the attacking drones. Their aim was reasonable, but not exceptional. Their weapons inflicted moderate damage but nothing impressive. The defensive formation held together but showed obvious weaknesses. "Performing as predicted," Veltar noted. "Human response time adequate but not superior. Weapon effectiveness matches our estimates. No tactical innovations observed." But something nagged at Zethkar as he watched. The human ships moved with unusual precision for such a primitive fleet. Their formations looked simple but showed no gaps or weaknesses. Every shot seemed to hit exactly where it was aimed, even though human targeting systems should be far less accurate than what he was seeing. Dr. Nathan Pierce monitored the exercise from his position aboard a science vessel. The quantum physicist had spent 3 years developing the technologies hidden within every human ship. Today would prove whether theoretical science could become battlefield reality. "Quantum field generators standing by," he reported to Admiral Sullivan. "All systems tested and ready. We're about to find out if we can actually change the laws of physics or just bend them a little." The first phase of combat continued for exactly 10 minutes. Human ships traded fire with the drones while maintaining their formations. Casualties remained light on both sides. Everything proceeded according to the expected script, boring and predictable. Then Jake Morrison gave the order that changed everything. "All ships, this is Horizon Actual. Authorization code Prometheus 77. Execute Phase 2. I repeat, Phase 2 is now active. Show them what humans can really do." The words meant nothing to the alien observers, just another routine tactical call, but every human in the fleet felt their hearts skip a beat. Phase 2 meant the end of the deception. Phase 2 meant revealing 5 years of secret development. Phase 2 meant showing the galaxy that humanity was no longer the primitive species the Council believed them to be. Commander Carter's fingers moved across his control panel, activating systems that officially didn't exist. Phase 2 confirmed, Captain. All ships report ready to engage enhanced protocols. The alien observers continued recording, expecting to see more of the same boring human tactics. They had no idea they were about to witness the emergence of a new kind of warfare, one that would make their 1,000-year-old strategies look like children's games. Everything was about to change. The moment Jake Morrison gave the Phase 2 order, everything changed. Commander Alex Carter pressed a series of buttons that had remained dark throughout the first 10 minutes of combat. Across his control panel, new systems came online with a soft hum that seemed to vibrate through the ship's hull. "Quantum drives active," he reported quietly. "All ships confirm enhanced systems operational." Lieutenant Ben Hayes felt his fighter transform around him. The controls that had felt sluggish and familiar suddenly became responsive beyond anything he had ever experienced. His engines didn't roar to life. They whispered, drawing power from the empty space between stars themselves. "Holy stars," Ben whispered into his comm. Then, remembering protocol, he cleared his throat and spoke louder. "Fighter Squadron reports full quantum capability. We are go for enhanced maneuvers." Aboard the Silent Watcher, Crix the reptilian engineer stared at his sensor displays in confusion. The human energy readings had just spiked beyond anything his instruments were designed to measure. "Sir, I'm getting impossible readings from the human fleet. Power output just increased by over 300%, but I can't identify the source." Zethkar frowned and moved to look over Crix's shoulder. His black eyes widened as he saw the displays. Energy signatures that had been steady and predictable now danced across the screens like living things. "Check your equipment. These readings can't be correct." "I've run full diagnostics twice," Crix replied, his forked tongue flicking nervously. "All systems working perfectly. Sir, the humans are generating more power than some of our battlecruisers." The first sign of what had changed came when the human fighters engaged the training drones. Ben Hayes pushed his control stick forward and felt his craft respond with impossible speed. One moment he was flying in formation, the next he was streaking across space faster than the alien sensors could track. The training drones, programmed with tactics from all 12 Council species, tried to intercept the human fighters. But the humans no longer moved according to any known laws of physics. They accelerated instantly, turned without losing speed, and seemed to ignore the basic rules that governed space combat. "Target lock acquired," Ben reported, his voice steady despite the excitement building in his chest. His weapon systems showed targets that should have been impossible to hit at such speeds and distances, but the quantum targeting computers processed information faster than thought itself. Ben fired a single shot. The energy bolt curved through space, bending around asteroids and debris, before striking a drone that had been hiding behind a moon. The alien observers watched in stunned silence as the impossible shot found its target. Veltar's compound eyes reflected the tactical display as he tried to understand what he was seeing. "Sir, human fighters are moving at velocities that should tear them apart. Their weapons are somehow bending trajectory mid-flight. This violates everything we know about physics." Zethkar felt a cold fear growing in his stomach. "Are they using some kind of council technology? Did one of the member species give them advanced systems without authorization?" "Negative, sir. These energy patterns don't match anything in our databases. This appears to be completely new technology." On the Horizon's bridge, Dr. Lisa Grant monitored the quantum field generators that made the impossible maneuvers possible. The systems created tiny bubbles of altered space-time around each ship, allowing them to accelerate without feeling inertia and turn without momentum. The technology was so advanced that most human scientists still didn't understand how it worked. "Field generator stable at 97% efficiency," she reported. "No stress fractures detected in the space-time matrix." Jake nodded, trying to hide his amazement at what his own species had accomplished. "How are the drones responding to our new capabilities?" Commander Carter studied his tactical display. The training drones were sophisticated, programmed with thousands of years of galactic warfare experience. But they had been designed to fight conventional enemies using predictable physics. They're adapting, but slowly. Their programming assumes we'll follow standard movement patterns. Chief Engineer Maria Santos called up from the engine room, her voice filled with wonder. "Captain, I've got to say, these new systems are incredible. We're running at full power and barely drawing from the main reactors. The quantum taps are pulling energy directly from empty space." The UES Defiant, commanded by Ryan Brooks, demonstrated the next level of human innovation. The frigate had been flying in standard formation when Brooks received the Phase 2 authorization. Now the ship's hull began to shift and flow like liquid metal. "Programmable matter systems active," Brooks reported as his ship transformed before the alien observer's eyes. The Defiant stretched and reshaped itself, optimizing its form for the current combat situation. Weapon ports appeared where none had existed seconds before. The ship's surface became a perfect mirror, deflecting enemy sensors. Aboard the Silent Watcher, the crew watched in growing horror as human technology revealed capabilities that shouldn't exist. Ships that changed shape in real time. Fighters that moved faster than light without entering hyperspace. Weapons that defied the basic laws of physics. "Sir," Veltar reported, his voice shaking, "I'm detecting massive gravitational distortions around several human vessels. They appear to be manipulating space-time itself." Dr. Nathan Pierce smiled as he watched his theoretical work become battlefield reality. The quantum physicist had spent years developing the mathematics that made these systems possible. Seeing them work perfectly under combat conditions filled him with scientific pride. "Quantum field manipulation at optimal levels," he reported to Admiral Sullivan. "We're successfully creating localized space-time distortions without destabilizing the surrounding area. The theories are holding up under real-world conditions." The training drones tried to adapt to the new threat, but their programming couldn't cope with enemies that ignored fundamental physics. Drones that attempted to ram human fighters passed right through them as the human craft briefly phased out of normal space-time. Weapons that should have destroyed human ships instead passed harmlessly through hulls that had become temporarily intangible. Zethkar watched his carefully planned observation mission collapse into chaos. The humans weren't just more advanced than expected. They had developed technology that made the entire Galactic Council look primitive by comparison. "Send an emergency message to Council headquarters," he ordered. "Priority Alpha classification. The humans are not what we thought they were." His communications officer, a crystalline being that communicated through light patterns, pulsed frantically. "Sir, our quantum communicator isn't working properly. The humans are generating interference patterns that disrupt our transmission systems." Jake Morrison watched the exercise progress with satisfaction. Phase 2 was working perfectly. His fleet moved through space like dancers, each ship coordinating with the others in ways that no conventional force could match. The quantum communication systems allowed instant coordination across the entire fleet without any delays. "All ships, prepare for Phase 3, Jake announced. "Let's show our observers what human Marines can really do." Colonel Sarah Mitchell received the order with a fierce smile. Her Marines had trained for months with equipment that would revolutionize ground combat. Today they would prove that human innovation extended far beyond starships and space fighters. "Marines, you heard the captain," she announced over the troop channel. "Time to show the galaxy what human soldiers can accomplish. Prepare for quantum deployment." The alien observers had no idea what quantum deployment meant, but they were about to learn. The exercise was revealing capabilities that would force the Galactic Council to completely reevaluate humanity's place in the galaxy. Everything they thought they knew about human limitations was being proven wrong with each passing minute. Colonel Sarah Mitchell stood in the Marine deployment bay as alarms signaled the start of Phase 3. Around her, 200 of humanity's finest soldiers checked their equipment one last time. Their armor looked familiar from the outside, but hidden within the ceramic plates and smart fabric were systems that would change warfare forever. "Listen up, Marines," Sarah announced over the comm system. "Today we test 5 years of research and development. The lab boys promise us we can teleport directly onto enemy ships without shuttles or drop pods. Let's see if they're right. Private? Danny Foster, barely 22 years old, felt his stomach flutter with excitement and terror. He had volunteered for the experimental Marine program without really understanding what he was signing up for. Now he stood inside a quantum transportation chamber that looked like something from a science fiction movie. "First time is always scary," said Sergeant Kelly Murphy, a veteran Marine with kind eyes and scars from 3 different battlefields. "Just remember your training and trust the tech." Aboard the Silent Watcher, Zethkar tried to make sense of what his sensors were telling him. The human ships had stopped moving in any predictable pattern. They flowed through space like schools of fish, coordinating their movements in ways that seemed impossible without faster-than-light communication. "Sir, I'm detecting massive energy buildups aboard several human vessels," reported Crix. "Power. Signatures suggest they're preparing to activate some kind of transportation system." Veltar studied the tactical displays with growing alarm. The energy patterns don't match any known teleportation technology. Council transporters require massive amounts of power and can only move objects short distances. These readings suggest the humans are preparing for something far more advanced. Zethkar felt his silver skin grow cold. Each revelation about human capabilities made his species look more primitive. The Council had ruled the galaxy for 3,000 years, but these humans were demonstrating technology that shouldn't exist for another millennium. Dr. Kevin Park activated the fleet's distributed artificial intelligence network from his position aboard the science vessel Endeavour. The 35-year-old computer specialist had spent years developing AI systems that could enhance human decision-making without replacing human judgment. "Distributed AI coming online," Park reported to Admiral Sullivan. "All ships now linked through quantum communication channels. Human commanders will retain full control, but with enhanced processing speed and tactical analysis." The effect was immediate. Every human ship began moving with superhuman precision. Captains could see the entire battlefield from multiple perspectives simultaneously. Weapons officers could calculate firing solutions that took into account variables no single human mind could process. The AI didn't replace human creativity, it amplified it. Captain Ryan Brooks watched his tactical display transform as the AI network activated. Information flowed into his mind faster than he could consciously process, but somehow he understood it all. Enemy positions, friendly locations, optimal firing patterns, everything became crystal clear. "This is incredible," Brooks whispered to his crew. "I can see the entire battle like it's a 3-dimensional chess game. Every move, every possibility." Lieutenant Ben Hayes experienced the same transformation in his fighter cockpit. The AI network connected him to every other pilot in the squadron. They flew as one mind distributed across dozens of bodies, coordinating their attacks with impossible precision. "Squadron leaders, this is Hayes," Ben announced. "We're going to try something that should be completely impossible. Follow my lead and trust the AI." The human fighters suddenly scattered in all directions, seemingly abandoning any coordinated plan. The training drones, programmed to expect conventional tactics, moved to exploit what appeared to be a tactical blunder. But the human pilots weren't confused. They were setting a trap. At the perfect moment, all 24 human fighters fired simultaneously. Their shots came from different angles, different distances, and different vectors. But the AI had calculated the exact timing needed for all the energy bolts to arrive at the same instant. The combined firepower struck the lead training drone like a hammer blow. The sophisticated robot, programmed with the tactical knowledge of 12 species, was destroyed instantly by an attack pattern it couldn't have predicted or countered. Aboard the Silent Watcher, the alien crew watched in stunned silence as human tactics evolved beyond their understanding. Ships that had seemed disorganized were actually implementing strategies too complex for non-enhanced minds to grasp. "Sir," Veltar reported, his voice barely a whisper, "the humans are fighting with a level of coordination that should be impossible. It's like they're sharing one mind across dozens of different ships." The Marine deployment began without warning. Colonel Mitchell felt the quantum transporter energize around her and experienced a sensation like being dissolved and rebuilt atom by atom. One moment she stood in the Horizon's deployment bay. The next she materialized inside a training drone's command center. Transport successful, she reported, trying to keep the amazement out of her voice. We're inside the target without any indication they detected our approach. Her Marines appeared around her like ghosts becoming solid. Private Foster materialized next to a simulated enemy console and immediately began planting demolition charges. The training scenario called for capturing the drone's command systems, but these new tactics allowed Marines to appear anywhere instantly. Sergeant Murphy led her squad through the drone's corridors without making a sound. Their armor contained stealth systems that bent light and dampened sound. To the drone's sensors, the Marines didn't exist even when standing in plain sight. Target secured, Mitchell reported after just 3 minutes. No resistance encountered. The enemy never knew we were there until it was too late. Zethkar stared at his displays in disbelief. Human Marines had somehow appeared inside a heavily shielded training drone without any visible transportation. No energy beams, no shuttlecraft, no breaching pods. They had simply materialized like spirits. This is impossible, he whispered. Teleportation through military-grade shields requires technology we don't possess. How are primitive humans doing? This? The exercise continued with revelation after revelation. Captain Ellen Davis commanded the heavy cruiser UES Thunderbolt, a massive vessel that carried enough firepower to level a small moon. When the scenario called for more flexible tactics, her ship did something that broke every rule of space combat. The Thunderbolt separated into 12 smaller vessels, each maintaining full combat capability. The massive cruiser literally came apart like a puzzle being disassembled, but each piece remained fully operational with its own weapons, shields, and propulsion. Modular separation complete, Davis reported calmly. All sections report green. Status: we now have 12 independent cruisers instead of one large target. The separated sections moved through the battlefield like a pack of wolves, supporting each other while engaging different targets simultaneously. When the tactical situation changed, they flowed back together, recombining into configurations optimized for the new threats. Dr. Pierce monitored the quantum fields that made the impossible transformations possible. His theoretical work had predicted these capabilities, but seeing them work perfectly under combat conditions filled him with wonder and pride. Quantum cohesion fields holding at optimal levels, he reported. We're maintaining structural integrity across all separated sections. The mathematical models are performing flawlessly. The training drones, sophisticated as they were, couldn't adapt to enemies that rewrote the basic rules of warfare. They had been programmed to fight conventional forces using predictable technology. Against humans who could teleport, phase through solid matter and reconfigure their ships at will, the drones were helpless. One by one, the automated opponents fell to tactics they couldn't understand or counter. The exercise that should have tested human capabilities against superior technology instead became a demonstration of how far humanity had advanced beyond galactic norms. Admiral Sullivan watched from her command ship as the exercise concluded. Ahead of schedule. Every human system had performed perfectly. Every theoretical breakthrough had proven practical. Her species was no longer the junior member of galactic civilization. They had become something entirely new. All ships, this is Admiral Sullivan, she announced on the fleet channel. Exercise complete. Outstanding work, everyone. Today we proved that human ingenuity can overcome any obstacle. Zethkar sat in his command chair, trying to process what he had witnessed. The humans hadn't just demonstrated advanced technology. They had revealed capabilities that made the Galactic Council's military might look like ancient history. Prepare an emergency report to the Council, he ordered. Classification, ultimate priority. The humans are not a primitive species. They may be the most advanced civilization in known space. Everything had changed, and the galaxy would never be the same. The exercise ended as quietly as it had begun. Human ships powered down their exotic systems and returned to conventional operations. Fighter squadrons formed standard patterns. Marine units returned to their transports through normal shuttlecraft. To any casual observer, the fleet looked exactly like it had 3 hours earlier. Captain Jake Morrison walked through the Horizon's corridors, accepting congratulations from his crew. They had pulled off the impossible, revealing humanity's true capabilities without appearing to break a sweat. But Jake knew the real test was just beginning. "Captain, message from Admiral Sullivan," reported Commander Carter. "She wants to see all senior officers for debriefing in 6 hours." Jake nodded. The debriefing would cover what happened next. Humanity had just announced to the galaxy that they were no longer the primitive species everyone believed them to be. The question now was how the Galactic Council would respond. Dr. Lisa Grant studied her sensor logs, pretending to analyze the unusual energy readings she had detected during the exercise. Her official report would mention some interesting but harmless anomalies. The real data would go directly to Admiral Sullivan through encrypted channels. "Fascinating readings throughout the exercise," she told Jake. "I'll need several days to analyze everything properly." Jake smiled. Lisa played her role perfectly. The aliens watching them would see a confused scientist trying to understand readings that seemed too advanced for human technology. They would never suspect that she had helped design half the systems that generated those readings. Aboard the Silent Watcher, chaos reigned. Zethkar's crew struggled to compile a report that would convince the Council that everything they believed about humanity was wrong. The evidence was overwhelming, but it contradicted 3,000 years of galactic history. "Sir, I've run the sensor data through our computers 50 times, reported Crix. "The results never change. The humans demonstrated technology that shouldn't exist for another 1,000 years of normal development." Veltar clicked his mandibles nervously as he organized the tactical analysis. "Their coordination capabilities exceeded anything we've seen from Council forces. Individual human ships fought with the efficiency of our entire battle fleets." Zethkar felt the weight of responsibility crushing down on him. His report would force the Council to completely reconsider humanity's place in galactic civilization. Some species would want to suppress the humans before they became too powerful. Others would want to learn their secrets. Either choice could lead to war. "Encrypt everything with Alpha 7 protocols," he ordered. "This information cannot fall into the wrong hands. If other species learn what we've discovered, the balance of power could shift overnight." The Silent Watcher's quantum communicator finally managed to punch through the interference that human technology had been generating. The message burst toward Council headquarters, carrying news that would shake the foundation of galactic civilization. On Earth, General Pete Johnson received Admiral Sullivan's preliminary report with satisfaction mixed with concern. The 58-year-old soldier had spent decades preparing humanity for this moment. But revealing their true capabilities meant the end of safety through obscurity. "How long before the Council responds?" he asked his aide. "Intelligence estimates 12 to 18 hours, sir. Long enough for them to verify the data and convene an emergency session." Johnson nodded grimly. 18 hours to prepare for whatever came next. Humanity had just painted a target on their backs, but it was better than remaining helpless in a galaxy full of advanced species. Ambassador Lucy Chen felt her secure communicator buzz as she prepared for what she thought would be a routine diplomatic meeting. The 41-year-old career diplomat had spent years building relationships with Council members, carefully maintaining humanity's image as harmless newcomers. "Ambassador, this is General Johnson," came the encrypted message. "Operation Forge is complete. Recommend you prepare for emergency council session. Your orders are to play confused and concerned. You know nothing about advanced human technology." Lucy felt her heart race. Operation Forge had been theoretical for so long that she had almost forgotten it might actually happen. Now she would have to convince the galaxy's most powerful beings that humanity remained as primitive as they appeared. The council chambers on Nexus Prime erupted into chaos as Zethkar's report arrived. 12 species that had maintained peace for millennia suddenly faced the possibility that their youngest member had surpassed them all. Supreme Counselor Yethmari, an ancient being older than human civilization, read the report 3 times before, accepting its implications. The crystalline entity had guided galactic development for over 2,000 years. Nothing in that experience had prepared him for this possibility. "Convene an emergency session," Yethmari ordered. "All council members must hear this report immediately, and summon the human ambassador. We need answers." Representatives from 12 worlds gathered in the Great Hall faster than ever before in council history. The Valerian Collective, the Krex Hegemony, the Ethereal Dominion, species that had explored the galaxy when humans still lived in caves, all waited to learn if their dominance had ended. Lucy Chen entered the council chambers trying to look appropriately confused by the emergency summons. Inside, her mind raced through possible responses to questions she couldn't predict. The fate of humanity might depend on her performance in the next few hours. Honored counselors, she began with practiced diplomacy, I hope I can help with whatever crisis has prompted this urgent meeting. Yethmarie's crystalline form pulsed with agitated light patterns. Ambassador Chen, we have received disturbing reports about human military capabilities. Our observers witnessed technologies that appear far beyond anything your species should possess. Lucy let confusion cross her face, as if she had no idea what the counselor meant. I'm afraid I don't understand, Honored One. Humans use the same basic technology we've always had. Chemical rockets, kinetic weapons, electromagnetic shields. Nothing has changed. The lie came easily, backed by years of diplomatic training. But inside, Lucy wondered if the deception would hold. The evidence must be overwhelming for the council to convene an emergency session. Captain Ellen Davis received new orders as her modular cruiser reformed into its standard configuration. The message came through quantum communication channels that only a few dozen humans knew existed. All ships maintain standard operations until further notice, Admiral Sullivan ordered. We are now at readiness level 2. Prepare for possible council military response, but take no aggressive action without direct orders. Davis acknowledged the order while reviewing her ship's true capabilities. The Thunderbolt could separate into dozens of independent vessels, each more powerful than most council warships. If fighting started, humanity would demonstrate that their defensive technologies were just as revolutionary as their offensive systems. Lieutenant Ben Hayes landed, his fighter in the Horizon's Bay, still amazed by the quantum drives that made impossible maneuvers feel effortless. His squadron had performed like angels dancing on starlight, but now they had to pretend it was just skilled piloting and lucky shots. Good flying today, people, he told his pilots. Remember, we stick to the official story. Standard fighters, conventional tactics, outstanding training, nothing more. The pilots nodded, understanding the stakes. If the council decided humanity posed a threat, these same fighters might soon engage in real combat against enemies who outnumbered them 1,000 to 1. Dr. Pierce reviewed the quantum field data one final time before encrypting it beyond any possibility of alien interception. The mathematics that made human superiority possible would remain humanity's greatest secret. Even if the council captured human ships, they would find only the results of the technology, not the principles that created it. Sir, all classified systems showing normal shutdown procedures, he reported to Admiral Sullivan. If anyone examines our ships now, they'll find only conventional technology. Sullivan smiled grimly. Human engineers had designed their advanced systems to appear mundane when not actively engaged. The quantum drives looked like standard fusion engines. The programmable matter seemed like normal hull plating. Even detailed examination would reveal nothing unusual. In the council chambers, the debate grew heated as species that had cooperated for millennia began to fracture along old lines. Some wanted to destroy humanity before they became unstoppable. Others argued for attempting to learn human secrets through negotiation or espionage. The humans cannot be allowed to upset the galactic balance, declared the Krex representative, a massive insectoid whose species valued military strength above all else. We should act now, while we still can. Hasty action could provoke exactly the war we wish to avoid, countered the ethereal delegate. These humans have shown restraint so far. Perhaps we can reach an accommodation. Yethmari listened to the arguments while studying Lucy Chen's face for signs of deception. The human ambassador maintained her expression of confused concern, but something in her eyes suggested she knew more than she was revealing. Ambassador Chen, the Supreme Counselor said quietly, I hope for all our sakes that humanity truly seeks peace. The galaxy has prospered under Council guidance for 8,000 years it would be.